Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about the link between trauma and struggles in relationship. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys are watching this on a rerun, hello. But if you guys are watching this on the live, feel free to ask questions. If you do find this video content of value, share it with your friends. There's a PayPal link, and there's a PayPal link down below. If you find this video content of value, any donation helps. But anyways, I would like to talk about a recap episode, which is correlated to what we're going to be talking about today, which is on life is change and growth is optional. The slide is on the quickest way to get someone else to change is to change yourself. So lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. So what it's trying to say here is that you don't want to set yourself up for lost days, because successful days are great. You're working on yourself, but lost days, those are the times that you will never really get back. Okay, so if you guys are interested in reading the book, it's Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book that helps you with habits, building habits, because you are where you're at in life. Everything that you do. Okay, so now, if life isn't where you want to be at, and you want to attract more into your life, there's a few things that you can do. You could read. There's podcasts. You could learn from other successful people that have done it before you. Because why? Success leaves clues. I'm personally in a much better place now, mentally, physically, because I allow myself to learn. And it's not just me allowing myself to learn. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy learning about relationship. I enjoy learning about why people do the things that they do. Okay. Now, change is inevitable, and growth does not necessarily always follow change. Just because things are changing, it doesn't mean you're growing. Yes, you may be growing older, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be improving. Improving requires intention. Things may be different and feels different temporarily, but unless this becomes part of your identity, growth is not sustainable. So it's something that you want to really believe in. It's like, what do you want to do? So, for example, for this past week, I just been eating a lot. I went to the gym. I didn't really get to do the cardio that I want. So I felt like I was a little bit set back. And, it's okay, because, I was on vacation. I was having a good time. I'm not gonna beat myself down for doing that, but that's not gonna be my lifestyle. Hi, Regina. Start off. Yeah, I remember reading that. Now, so let's see. Change is inevitable. Things may be. Yeah, so it's not sustainable. So I mentioned earlier how change must be represented with a positive representation. A positive representation is like, okay, meaning that there needs to be some sort of reward after the thing is done. It's kind of like, going to the gym, right? You don't really necessarily get something, but the feeling that you get after the gym is like, damn, like I really worked out. I feel a lot better. My body feels a lot better. So now that kind of is like that little snowball that pushes you into doing more things for yourself. The question you want to ask is, who do you want to become? Learning, so you could learn in terms of inspiration or desperation. Both will still get you results, but you get to identify your values and then set the goals based off those values, so that now you have value-based goals. A lot of people, and I use the gym, for example, because it's something that you can see and it's very easy. Where most people, they set a goal, they're like, I just want to lose weight. It's like, okay, why? Why do you want? Because it's healthier. Okay. Is there anything beyond that? No, I look better. Okay, that's great. It will all come together. It will all come together. But why? Why do you want to do this? Because that why is gonna make everything that you do a lot more sustainable. I want to become healthier. I want to lose more body fat, because I've heard that too much body fat might be, it might be a cause of metabolic syndromes like type 2 diabetes and things like that. And I don't want that when I'm growing up or as I get older, because it's in my family's history to have type 2 diabetes, and so I don't want to do that. Okay, now you have a value. I don't want to get sick in the future, so now you have value-based goals. Okay. Another one is, well, I want to be in a good relationship, and I want to have a partner. I want to have a girlfriend. I want to have a boyfriend, whatever that you guys want. And then you set yourself that goal. It's like, well, why do you want one? Well, I'm lonely. Okay, well, can you explain a little bit more than you just being lonely? Because being lonely, I get it. People could feel lonely, but why do you feel lonely? And if your reason is because you're lonely and you want a relationship, that's not a good reason why you should be in a relationship anyways. You should always be happy where you're at first by yourself, and then you put yourself in a relationship. That way the other person gets to reap what you sowed, okay? In other words, they get to enjoy all your time because you enjoy your time. So now when you see other people, you all get to share each other's completeness together. It's not like, damn, I need you because I'm unhappy. That's where most people get into relationships. They get into relationships because they're unhappy and they think the other person will make them happy, which is called codependency. And that is not what you want. Okay, maybe it's cute in a minute, but it's not sustainable. All right, so now, who do you want to become? Learn in terms of inspiration or desperation. Both, they give you results. You got to identify your values. You got to set goals based on those values. And also you can make your habits more attractive if you can learn to associate them with positive experiences. Okay. So and that's by James Clear. What you focus on expands. What you look at disappears. So if you have any type of fears that you have, face fear. Face fear. Hey, go up to that person and talk to them. Be genuine, be honest, and go talk to them. Hey, I would like to learn. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is my first, second, third time at the gym. I'm just trying to learn. I was just wondering if I could ask you, maybe you have some pointers or whatever. Follow other people that has been more successful. I think that's one of the best things I've ever done, was go to the smartest people in the room and just start talking to them. What are you doing and what are you doing so that's different, so that I could become just like you? Okay. Now, the reason why I'm talking about life is changing, growth is optional, is because a lot of people deal with trauma, childhood trauma, and it is that link between childhood trauma and struggles that you have in your relationship. So the first one, and I also want to give a quick shout out to Tim Fletcher again, because without him I would not have been able to do this video, and I learned a lot, and it's something that kind of kept me a little bit more grounded too. So shout out to Tim Fletcher. But the slide is on how to not create victims. Okay, so like I said, you could become bitter or you could become better. You have a choice where you have a choice where pain becomes growth or pain turns you into a victim. What do you want to choose? That's totally up to you. You could be upset about it, kicking sand, breaking the other kids' toys, that's not going to change anything. It shows that you don't know how to control your emotions. But pain happens to every child. Pain happens to everybody. And it happens to every child as we're growing up. But someone who grew up by a kid, right? Someone who grew up in a healthy home where the dad is very masculine and the mom is feminine, and they resolve problems by talking, not by arguing, but by talking about things like, okay, where did I go wrong? How could I have done this a little bit better? Things like that. What is it that I could do differently, or what is it that I'm not doing that is causing you to feel like blank, right? Things like that. These are questions that you could ask as you're in this quote unquote heated argument or this tension, so that you can resolve problems. right? Now, if you don't solve problems, on the flip side is that problems that becomes unresolved, they turn into trauma. Just, it sticks with us, and they become the victims. So most people don't like the fact that they had to do something. I don't want to take on responsibility. I don't want to do this. Why? Because then if I take on responsibility, it means I have to work on myself. Then I have to face whatever I'm dealing with, and that kind of sucks. So, and on top of that, other people like would stop feeling so sorry for me. I want to feel sorry for myself, and I want other people to feel sorry for me, right? That way they don't have to really grow up. And that that's, hey, everybody gets to choose the life they want to live. That is not the life that I want to live. Because why? I want to live an extraordinary life. I want to live a life that has meaning. I want to live a life with good people. And that's the choice that I decided to make. And I will stick with that for the rest of my life. Well, like, why would I settle for anything else? Why? So now this is where most gaslighting occurs. Basically gaslighting is making you believe a lie. So instead of mom admitting fault, instead of her admitting that she did something wrong, they put the blame on a child, or it could be a parent, someone with authority. It doesn't have to be a mom, but using mom as an example, they put it on the child. So whenever a parent or authority or someone is having this fiery type of emotions, these bad emotions, the child is made responsible to fix that emotion. So now, let's just say your kid, you were playing with toys, right? It's 5 o'clock. You forgot to press the rice cooker or something. I don't know. But mom never called you to do that, or she just mentioned it. Something happened. Okay. Now, instead of your mom reacting and be like, it's okay, you know what? Dinner's just going to be a little bit later now. She fires up. She's yelling, she's screaming, she's pointing fingers. She's saying all these negative things, saying that you're useless, you're worthless, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's only because she doesn't know how to control her emotions. And because of that, she's throwing it all on you as a kid. You're a kid. You're still dealing with this. You're like, what the hell just happened? I was just playing with some toys. I forgot to press that button on the rice cooker. Now all this happened, right? So, but the truth is, no one can fix your emotions. No one can fix your mom's emotions in that sense. Only you can fix your own emotions. But kids are made to feel like if they did more, like if they did their homework, or if they made less noise, if they were more agreeable, if they behaved a little bit more, then mom or dad will be less angry. So now, when you get into relationships, when your girlfriend or your boyfriend gets a little bit angry, or you freak out, you go, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Maybe I should do this, or I should do that. So then they will be less mad. But you're not really fixing anything. You're just trying to solve the symptom, which is you just don't want them to be as mad. But like I said, you can't control the other person's emotion. This is how they are. It's not your job to fix them neither. It's your job to work on yourself, right? So like now, you're still this kid, and your mom was yelling at you. Now you feel like you're taking on the responsibilities of everybody's emotion, which is a setup in a relationship for codependency. And that's not something that you really want in a relationship, because it's going to cause it's something that's going to cause a lot of issues in your relationship if you don't deal with this first. So if you're someone that don't know how to control your emotions, and I'm not just talking about controlling it by bottling it up. I'm talking about, well, you have to learn how to let these go. Face those fears that you had. Why are you getting so mad all the fucking time? These are things that you have to fucking deal with. And because if you don't deal with that, everybody else is going to deal with it, and nobody want to stick around to hear your bullshit because you're a piece of shit. That's the reality. So now let's talk about simple and complex trauma. And just like math, I love this. This is where Tim Fletcher was talking about. So he was talking about simple and complex trauma. And just like math, there's simple math and there's complex math. Where simple math is just one number, complex math is more than one. So there's simple and complex trauma. A simple trauma is one event, one traumatic event. Which is like physical altercation. Maybe you getting beat, right? Nothing good. You were getting the R word, right? Things like that. Those are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A complex is an ongoing danger where a child's stress system is constantly being activated. Do I fight? Do I flight? Do I freeze? What I do? And the problem is when a child lives in that environment too long, they shut down. Instead of living in reality, they live in this fantasy where they believe it's real. And really nothing about it is real. They live in this because it's designed to make them feel like they're safe. What's up, Tracy? So they're living in this fantasy like, damn, like an example, and I'll explain about the example later. So the two extremes is abuse or neglect. These are two extremes. Abuse is pretty straightforward. Physical, emotional abuse with harsh environments. And majority of complex traumas comes from neglect. So it's the neglect that you're not getting. So where physical is something that's happening to you, neglect is something that didn't happen to you that should have happened. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. All right. Cool. I had to kick somebody out because I had to put him in timeout. He was not behaving very well. So anyways, let's move on, which is what's up, Cynthia? All right. So now we need to live authentically. And for the longest time, I was not able to live authentically because anytime I felt like I needed to be myself, I was constantly being challenged. Like, why are you acting like this? Why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? Instead of saying why don't you show me how? And I never really had that. And so it wasn't until I was able to kind of finally pull away and say, F it, I'm done. I'm out. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Perfect. Okay, Cynthia, I just put you as a mod in case. Just in case. For 86,000 seconds. Wow. Okay. So now we need to that was interesting. So we need to live authentically, right? And a child needs to live authentically. They need to live however they are, and then you can still guide them. That's the beauty of it. It's like you can still guide them to be who they are if that's something that they want to be. So they want to be able to connect with people that are safe, and they need to be able to open themselves up, to be vulnerable, to be accepted for who they are and as they are, and have somebody who accepts them and values them and nurtures them, because it's important. Like, we long for connection as kids. That's what we want. And they did studies on like monkeys where they took the baby monkey, I don't know what you call them, the baby monkey from the mom, and they don't get enough hugs and love and touch, and something goes wrong with them as they grown up. Like, there's something wrong. So now imagine all this neglect that you're doing to your kid as they're growing up, and you're not really giving them the time and attention. Like, it causes them there's a lot of trauma. And on top of that, maybe you don't know how to behave yourself, you don't know how to control your emotions, and they're gonna learn all that from you. So that's why, if you are a parent, the most important thing is for you to really control your emotions and be able to take a step back and be like, hey, there's certain things that we need to talk about. I understand that you're a little upset right now. Mommy or daddy, I like daddy's upset right now too, but this is how we're supposed to talk about things. I'm not happy. I'm not in the best mind, son or daughter, but we have to get through this. And this is how you get through it. And so that's you being able to open up to them too, so that they could feel comfortable to open up to you. Because it's not easy to open up, and then imagine your kid trying to open up to you, and whatever they're saying, you're trying to completely invalidate whatever they're feeling. Best believe that they're not going to do that again. They're not going to try to talk to you no more. Because it's like, why would I open myself up if mommy or daddy always shuts me down every single time I want to say something? So they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to see you as a person. Yeah, you're a person with authority, but they're scared of shit. They don't even want to talk to you. So how are they going to live authentically? So then now they got to put up this front so that they could pretend to be around you so they don't piss you off. And that's not living authentically. So now, yeah, like I said, so someone in a position of authority that could guide them without judgment. Now, nobody really understands a kid that was like, yo, smarten up, toughen up, act like a man, be like this, be like that, because I was taught this way too. Walk it off. Examples like, why can't you be more like blank? Why can't you do something like this? And I was constantly being compared to a lot of people. I even walked into because I felt like this was one of those movies where I left my friend's house, but then I forgot something, so I went back. And as I was going back, I just overheard the mom talking about grade point averages. And as a kid, I was not the brightest kid in school. I hated school for the longest time. I didn't like learning, and I would constantly be lazy. But what I didn't notice was I would never miss school. I will always be at school, but I would do horrible at school. People that skip class and cut and are tardy and, they get better grades than me, and I'm there all the time. So it doesn't make any sense, right? But anyways, I walked back in, and I just remember the mom saying like, damn, like, I didn't know you were smarter than Mitchell, right? Because I guess we were comparing our report cards together. And to me, that kind of I was like, wow, that kind of stung a little bit. But at the same time, instead of being upset about it, I was like, I just need to do better. Just, study a little bit more, get a better grade. And I did. That's all it was. So like I said, you have a choice to be bitter, or you have a choice to be better. And, it's a lot easier to just get mad. It's like the example of, if you didn't like what you heard in this little in this little sandbox, and you get mad and you get upset as a kid, and you're like, F you, you take all your toys and then you just walk away and you kick the sand and you tear down their castle because you don't know how to control your emotions. It's kind of like that. Like, just think how foolish you look every time you yell at your kids, or every time you don't know how to control your emotion. That's what you look like. You look like a person that, like a 5-year-old that didn't get what they want. So now you're taking all your toys and you're leaving, and you're yelling and screaming as you're doing that. Okay. So now, yeah, smarten up, toughen up, act like a man. Why can't you be more like blah, 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 blah. Heard all that. And it sucks because it's like, well, I never really, you're telling me to toughen up. You're telling me to act like a man. You're telling me to do X, Y, and Z, but you're not really showing me. You're not really showing me how to do it. You're telling me what to do. Yeah, toughen up. You're not really showing me how to do it. So that becomes a problem. It's like, and on top of that, and you get to deal with all this verbal abuse, this emotional abuse, this mental abuse. It doesn't make me really want to become a better person. So to strive to become better after all that, To those people that work on themselves, I applaud you. I applaud you because it's not easy. And when you do that, there's a different light at the end of the tunnel, and it's beautiful. Now, anyways, all of this is hurting this child, right? When you're just telling them what to do, like act like a man, do this, it's hurting the child. The child does not feel safe to be themselves around you. So then now they have to adapt in order to protect themselves. Now I gotta be blank. I gotta be tougher. I gotta be wearing this mask to be a little bit more outgoing. I can't really express my emotions because every time I do that, I get rejected. And now you don't feel safe. You don't feel authentic. You don't feel like you could be yourself around that person. You ever notice even the best relationships, the ones that you don't look for, the ones that you start falling in love with this person is when you feel like that person understands you and they understand you, they listen to you. So what makes you think it's any different when you don't do that for your kids? And if they want to talk to you and you just be like, go away. Like that's the worst thing that you could do. Or it's like if I were to come home and my wife's sitting there, she'd be like, oh my God, I did this. And you'd be like, can't you tell? I just need some time. It's like, no, you just got to set everything to the side and then just listen and just be like, what's going on? What is it? Oh, your nails? Oh, you did your nails. Those nails look beautiful on you, right? Like it only takes that few minutes. Now, anyways, now as a child, the child lives in this quote unquote type of fantasy. They're living very inauthentic. They're not living authentic to themselves. Their mind's kind of distorted because why? None of their needs are being met. And so what they are thinking now is, well, maybe if I'm better, my dad or the other person with authority will give me more attention. Then my mom, maybe she won't be as angry. So they're adapting to get their parents' needs met and trying to be safe, but they're not living authentically with themselves. So their needs are not met. Their needs are to make sure mommy, daddy don't get upset. So the kid is literally suffering this whole entire time. They don't get to be themselves. And most kids nowadays, they be on their phone. They just, they're texting away. They may be having those fake, not fake, but they don't really get to live who they are with the people around them that's going to influence them the most. And so they think then they start taking on the responsibility of like, damn, like if I did this, maybe blah, blah, blah. Like, so if, at one point I was like, damn, like would my dad have stayed if I was a better kid, or if I was, if I was better? So they start taking on the responsibility of other people's emotions. And, like I said before, it's not up to you to change other people. It is not your job to change other people. If they don't know how to control their emotions, that's on them. Your job is to only associate with people that knows how to control themselves, right? And so I feel like there's a lot of people that misunderstands that. It's like, oh, if you really love me, you would do this. It's like, no, that's not real love. Like, you would just accept me for who I am. I was like, no, I do, but I also don't need to tolerate abuse. So I'm not going to sit here and be your punching bag so that you can feel better about yourself. It's like, yo, chill the fuck out, basically. All right. So now let's talk about fake intimacy. There's two parts. Yes. So fake intimacy. Every child longs for connection. If you can't get it, I have a problem with the older. Younger twin comforting you yesterday. What happened? So fake intimacy. Every child longs for connection. If you can't get it, you try to connect it with your dad or your mom. But maybe your mom's a little bit busy, or maybe your dad, or maybe your dad's a little bit busy, and your mom kind of, she either gets upset, depressed, or angry. So now as a kid, you can't connect. And so you will assume as a child that it is your fault that you cannot connect to that person. There must be something wrong with me. And so you act out as a kid. You don't really listen anymore. You're being a little bit rebellious. So something's wrong with me. And as humans, we're hardwired to want a connection, a genuine connection. Now, but a deep, genuine connection to you as a kid, it's like, well, why would I even set myself up for failure? Because every single time I try to be open about it, blah, 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 shuts me down. Mommy or daddy does this, so why would I do that? Okay, Cynthia said, older one thinks I'ma chase him all the time. He gets mad and angry. He walked out the door. I just let him walk. Yeah, he acted out. I just yelled and walked away also. What do you mean chase him all the time? Like chase him to do things, chase him to like want to be better? What's going on? So let's see. Okay, so as you're typing that up, I'm gonna explain more on my part, which is so now they're not really engaged into genuine connection, because why would they want a genuine connection? Because every time they tried it, they get shut down. So how am I encouraged to do more if every single time I'm trying to do that, I get shot down? Oh, my cat. So now, then they get older. They're like, hey, why don't we just try fake intimacy? And this is something that Tim Fletcher brought up. So fake intimacy. So they get to have fun. They get to do everything, but it's not too serious because it gives the feeling of connection without the true intimacy. But the only problem with that is it doesn't satisfy. It only sets yourself up for addiction. So maybe you get addicted to porn because it gives you the feeling of, damn, I get to do X, Y, and Z, right? Or, why don't I just sleep around a lot? I don't really need a deep, genuine connection. And the moment you get something real, you step away from it. You're like, I don't want that, because I learned as I was a kid, anytime I get something that gets real, it gets shot down. So why would I need to do that? Like, I'm going to step away from that. No way. No, it's getting too real. So now you can have a relationship. Absolutely, you can have a relationship, but it's almost impossible for you to have a healthy relationship if you haven't dealt with all these problems, these past traumas on yourself. He walked out and I always went after him, stop him not to go outside by himself, because I worry it's happened to him if he's alone in the street. And when he came back home, what happened? How do you guys resolve things? I'm moving right now. It's okay, Bree. Take your time. Okay, so now, yeah, you can have a relationship, but it's almost impossible to have a healthy relationship if these are traumas that you never dealt with. First time the team had played together. Oh, congrats. Haven't still talked yet at all. You're the person with authority. You're the mom. So you have to be able to go up and just sit down, and I know this is not comfortable for you, son. But walking out like that, being upset, that's not the way to do it. And I know it's not going to be easy on you, but you're there to set the example. Because if you don't set it, he's going to think it is okay to walk out every single time. What's up, kitty? Okay. So that's something that you have to do. You have to get past that. If you want your kid, he ignored me when I asked him if he wants breakfast or lunch. Yeah. Because you don't give a shit about it. I don't give a shit about lunch right now. I'm still pissed off at you for whatever happened. Now, I'm pretty sure if you sat down and you just, hey, look, what happened yesterday, it shouldn't have happened like that. I shouldn't have yelled at you. There's things that we could have both done a little bit better. So instead of saying like, oh, you shouldn't have walked out, just, take the blame of what you done. I shouldn't have yelled at you. I shouldn't have done this. and there were things that both of us could have done a little bit better. And then you let him decide, like, what could I have done better? It was like, what do you think? And then you can ask him, like, what do you think you could have done better? If he has that, right? And then that way you can have a conversation. And instead of pointing it out, you can ask him, is it what is it that I'm not doing? Or what is it that I'm doing that's causing you to get upset, to make you want to walk out on me? Because mommy doesn't want you to walk out because it gets dangerous outside in the street. Young twin just pat my back and says everything is gonna be alright. Yeah, it's comforting and it's nice. It's nice to have that, but the reality is, someone has to tell you that you have to be able to communicate. And if there's no communication, they don't want to listen. There's only so much that you can do. And you could try to become better and better. And then you could try to set better examples. Right? Like I said, it's really nice that your younger one was, comforting you. But the reality is, if nothing gets resolved and they just be less, like maybe in 2 days or 24 hours, your older twin become less mad at you. So he's like, yeah, I'm getting hungry now, so I guess I'll fucking eat, right? It's like, that doesn't really resolve anything. And you're trying to be there for each other, and you want to set the example, so you have to lead. And I know that's not something that's comfortable for most people, but if you really care about your kids, you want to set the right examples for them, you have to be able to communicate. Okay. But yeah, so like I said, if you want, here's a prime example. You can have a relationship. So your older son in the future could have a relationship, but it's almost impossible to have a healthy relationship if there's so many past traumas, right? Things that are constantly being in this high stress level type of environment for them. Something's not right. So if he walks out on you, what makes you think that he won't walk out on the people that he loves, his wife, his whatever, right? Like, anytime there's a problem, you walk out, and then when you come back, you don't try to resolve it. It's a setup for an impossible healthy relationship. Like, you just won't be able, unless you deal with it. You're like, you know what, I shouldn't have done this, right? So also, now moving forward is also, most people, when they're single, they don't think about all the stuff that they need to work on. They don't think about, oh shit, I need to work on myself. They don't think about, oh shit, there's these traumas that I have, I need to work on these. Like, why? I might as well go have fun, party, enjoy my single life, right? So when they do get into a relationship, they deal more damage to their partners, or like I said, kids. If there's kids involved, they deal more damage. That deep shame, that deep lack of trust, that deep fear of intimacy, that anger, uncontrollable emotions, and all these things are only symptoms. Symptoms like, oh, most people only focus on the symptoms. Like, damn, yeah, I just need to be less angry. I just need to be less jealous. But there's a reason why you're constantly being triggered to be more angry, or constantly being angry and constantly being triggered, being jealous, and this all these emotions. And it's learning how to control those emotions. And that's why I don't really like to say, like, oh, jealousy is a bad emotion. I don't think emotions are bad. There's no good or bad. It's just one feels a little bit different than the other. And because you have these emotions, learning how to control those, less desirable emotions, that sets you apart from a lot of people. And when you can set yourself up from a lot of people, not only are you more valuable, that's something that someone could value you yourself. It's like, well, there's not a lot of people that would just, when they're mad, they're able to talk about certain things. And that's something that you have to constantly work on. Why are you constantly yelling? Well, I yell because deep down I'm fearful. I'm fearful that maybe my kids will grow up and be just like X, Y, and Z. The two were fighting hard. I was in between them, stopping them. What were they fighting about? Is this physical? Like, what's going on, right? Now, if there's any harm, you just gotta separate them, and then just be like, go, get the hell out. Go in your room. Go separate yourself. Whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see you as a person that would just yell out of nowhere, Cynthia. That would be kind of crazy. You wouldn't just want to be like going down the street, start, like I say, start yelling at trash bins. But yeah, if it's something like that, you want to be able to separate them. And then eventually, once the fire kind of cools down a little bit, it's like, look, whatever that's happened, I know you don't like it, but we have to try to resolve it together. So I'm going to be this middle person. What's going on? How are we going to resolve this? And also, you could say that, look, mommy's not going to always be here to solve your problems and be the middle person. And then you talk to them and be like, this is how you resolve your problems. What is it? What caused this? What happened? You did this and you did that and blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it went. And then you let one talk at a time. I know you want to butt in, but you got to talk one at a time. And then you resolve the problems together. That's it. Because if you're constantly going to fight and you don't fix things, you're never going to have a healthy relationship. Physical, I separated them, still came at each other, my nerves. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it's a lot for you to even take on too, because I'm pretty sure you're like, fuck, I got to deal with all this. I got to cook, I got to do this, I got to make money and do this and X, Y, and Z. And then now I got this little obstacle that I have to deal with because they don't know how to control themselves. It's like, no, let's separate it. Let's try to talk. And they're kids, they're kids. What they see, especially at school. Like, if I was a kid at school and I'm sitting down and I'm trying to talk to them when someone's trying to fight me, I look like a bitch. But what I do realize that is knowledge is power. And by being able to ask questions, even in a heated argument, especially if they don't make any sense, it's like, I know they're just bullshitting at this point. But I like to ask questions. Why do you think blah, 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 blah? How come you think that's, this, and that? And then if they'd be like, well, this is mine. It's like that person that was just arguing over a space. I was like, how does this space, how is this yours if it's a public place? How? Yes, that after I got off work, I was relaxing, enjoying music. Yeah, it's like disturbing your peace, right? I get it. Things get rough, but it's like, fuck, we got to do so much more. To be able to sit down and just be like, look, we just got to learn to tolerate each other, right? And then learn to understand each other. I get it. Kids fight. I fought with my brothers all the time. But anyways, let me move on. I got one more slide. It's a little bit longer this time, but one more slide. So, fake intimacy part 2. So now, I talked about deep shame, deep lack of trust, deep fear, intimacy, anger, uncontrollable emotions. All this are symptoms, and what people only focus on is like, well, I just need to be less angry. I just got to be less jealous. So, but you never went to the core of it and be like, well, why? Why am I always getting angry? Why am I always being jealous? There's a reason why. There's a reason, and you got to follow those trail of whys and then understand that, so then you could get out of it. But learn to accept it, or accept them for who they are and as they are. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the only way to do it. It's because you're not there to try to change them. You can nudge them and encourage them to do better. I ignored them, ignored them fighting in the beginning because I knew they closer like besties until I start seeing scratches on the stomach. Then you got upset. Yeah, damn, they using claws too. Yeah, yeah, you got to separate them. Absolutely. Like, if anyone's physical health or harm, you just got to separate them, and then eventually they got to be able to talk it out. You know what's being a real man at that point? If you want to be a man, right? If you really want to be a real man, you both got to understand that you got to resolve this shit. I don't care if you don't like each other right now. You guys got to resolve this. At least one person got to talk, the other person's going to respond, and then once they respond, then they get a chance to talk. And it goes back and forth like ping pong. That's it. And then you can resolve your problems later by talking about it. Okay? Now, no, I have not. But, these are people that uncontrollable emotions. That's how they get you, right? It's all emotions. So fake intimacy part 2. Let me just finish this up. So what happens is, as long as the relationship is going smooth and things are good, it's great. But as soon as something that triggers that, the fear of abandonment, the fear of trust, they explode. They go back to the old behaviors, right? Lashing out, run away, physical harm, things like that. And after all that has been inflicted to the other person, because you never really worked on yourself, it's kind of too late to salvage. It's like, damn, I've done more harm than good. It's kind of like the guy that always says he will change, but nothing changed. Then it's like, you just got to see reality as it is. This person doesn't do anything. It won't do anything. It's like, okay, then yeah, you tried. That's the best that you could do, and that person doesn't want to grow up. So it's like, well, I gotta go. In the beginning, they were very enthusiastic about doing all this, but maybe that was part of their true character anyways, and they actually saved you more time by not wasting more of your time. They revealed themselves early on that, hey, you know what? This is not the person I am. This is not the person. You tried nudging them. You tried to encourage them to, do a little something for themselves. But like I said, it's not your job to fix nobody. It's just your responsibility to pair up with the right person that has your same goals and same values. And that's why these are the people that have the best relationships, is when they could control their emotions. They have similar goals. They have similar values. They see things and they want each other to improve. It's like, hey, I'm not bitching at you. What I'm trying to see is that I don't want your potential to be wasted, because I see a lot of potential. I really do. And so you gently nudging them. I hope I don't give so much my feel quality not being great as a singer. I don't think you're giving yourself too much. I think a lot of people deal with that too. I'm pretty sure at one point my mom thought of that too, right? She was like, God damn, I gotta deal with 3 fucking sons, and they were like, I did not behave. I didn't behave at all. And it wasn't until I fell into my rock bottom at my point, that was when I realized, I was like, wow, it's not just about having, a baddie anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this hot looking chick, like, yeah, all that beauty fades. Okay. Beauty fades. But once we see this nice shiny object in front of us, we're like, oh my God, right? This halo effect. But the more I started working on myself, I started realizing things. It's like, wow, there is so much deep fucking shit that I had to work on myself in order to have a better relationship with myself. And once I have a better relationship with myself, then I can have a great relationship with the other person. Because, if I didn't know how to control my emotions and I say certain things just because I'm upset, and then now I cause that other person to be upset, and then I'm like, why you crying? Why you acting like this again? Like, I didn't, it's like, so now I'm invalidating her feelings. It's like, well, I don't know how to control that. But instead, let's just say I worked on myself, and I understand, like, hey, you know what? You're right. I shouldn't have said that. It was a joke, but that joke went a little bit too far, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I won't say it again. I won't say it again. Okay. And, hopefully we could get past that. I know that you're upset right now. I know that you can't, you just can't let everything go. But, let's try to at least enjoy the time that we have, because we got to go do X, Y, and Z and things like that. And so by communicating that, they understand. And then now you're also encouraging good behavior, which is, well, if there is something that I've said that's, too far, they feel comfortable to tell me that it is not right. Because whatever they're feeling, especially if I care about them, I should validate their feelings. And so if I were to be like, why are you acting like this? I'm technically just saying I'm invalidating her feelings. And I'm also communicating that I don't understand her, or I don't understand women at all. So that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. And it's not an easy fix. Okay. It's not an easy fix. But anyways, yeah, like I said, there's hope. And, it's not an easy fix, and it's not a quick fix, because a lot of this came from your childhood. All this came from years, decades of trauma, right? And these complex type of traumas, and this all derived from childhood, and it's not something you undo something overnight. So you must communicate. You must communicate, accept that person for who they are, love them for who they are, and respect that other person. So relationships are designed to start with love, where you feel like it's gonna last forever. That feeling of intimacy, maybe not true intimacy, but it feels like intimacy. But it's designed to move in your mind, right? Like your cortex, the front of your lobe. Okay, it's designed to move to the cortex, so it releases this thing called serotonin. Okay. And I'm not a scientist, okay? But it releases serotonin, and it's, your cerebral cortex plays a key role in memory, in thinking, in learning, reasoning, problem solving, emotions, consciousness, functions related to your senses. So this part of your brain, it controls your mood, right? So now it also determines safety, connection, acceptance. And how you build that, how you build resilience and understand that, is by working through issues together, by resolving problems together, by really respecting and trusting each other. That's it. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience, by listening and understanding, by letting them speak, by taking a step back when they're talking and understanding them. Because most people in relationships, especially when they're arguing, they don't listen to each other. And now, this is the problem. That most problems with people with trauma is that they're scared as hell to go back to that same place. It's like, why would I want to do that? Because they don't want to confront this bullshit. They just want to have fun. And so, like I said, there needs to be respect. And where there's no respect in a relationship, there's not going to be love, because love follows respect. Love follows respect. So if respect is right over here, love follows it. And guess what happens in relationships where couples, when they fight and they start losing respect for the other person, love follows that. So when you start losing respect for that person, you start losing love. And that's usually the quickest downfall. But now, if you're not communicating through that, how are you guys going to understand each other? So if there's no communication, communication should be your number one thing in relationships, because not everything's going to be simple. Not everything's going to be fun all the time. You're going to have times where maybe she's going to be a little bit more emotional. Okay. And you're a guy, and you just got to understand that, hey, she has emotions. So anyways, that is for today. I'm going to go over the summary, which is, first slide, how to not create victims. Right? Pain happens to every child, but someone who grew up in a healthy home where mom and dad, the mom is feminine, the dad is masculine, they resolve problems by talking about things and not arguing. Simple and complex trauma. Simple trauma is one event, physical altercations, right? The R word, can't really say it. And complex is an ongoing danger where a child's stress system is constantly being activated. And complex is more than one. Constantly, the stress system is constantly being activated when the child when a child lives in that environment for too long. They shut down, and instead of living in this reality, they built this kind of fantasy where they have a lot of fake intimacies with other people. They don't get to live authentically for who they are, and because they're constantly being judged, so now they got to put up this front. Okay. Also, third one is we need to live authentically. Child needs to be authentic, connect with people, with safe people, to be vulnerable, to open up, to be accepted for who they are, and have somebody who accepts them and values them and nurtures them, right? So that way they don't have to feel this feeling of like, well, maybe if I'm better, maybe if I did more things, mommy or daddy wouldn't be as upset. So instead of what you're not trying to do is you're not trying to put the emotions, your uncontrollable emotions, onto the kid's responsibility, because you don't know how to control your emotions. You don't want that, because you don't want them to feel like, damn, I need to do this in order so that they don't be upset. In other words, they don't need to walk on eggshells being around you, because it's like, damn, like if God forbid I put this down and I dropped it, oh shit, I'm gonna get my ass whooped. I better not make any mistakes. It's like, no, it's okay. Like, hey, a bottle falls, it's okay. Like, pick it up, it's fine. It's all right. Things happen. And then just move on. It's not that big of a deal. It's only a big deal if you make it a big deal. So now fake intimacy is every child longs for connection. Every child longs for being authentic, right? If you can't get it from your mom or your dad, because why? Maybe mom was a little bit upset. She might be depressed, angry. Dad's always busy, right? So now you can't connect with people as a kid. You're going to assume that, hey, you know what? This is my fault that I can't connect with people. I'm at fault. And this, so what you want to do is you want to set yourself up for your kids' future by showing them through examples. Let's see. Oh, another person had to be on timeout. All right, so that is all for today. I know it's not something that's easy to digest, and it's something that you have to constantly work on. But there's a beautiful light at the end of it. There's always a beautiful light as long as you're calm, you're cool, calm, and you're collected. Yeah, I had to put someone in timeout. You stay cool, calm, and collected. You take a step back, and something, for your kids, for the older one. Talk to him one-on-one. And, admit your own fault. Mommy yells. Mommy shouldn't yell that much. And mommy could work on that a lot better. But I would like it if you could help me out too, right? By talking to him. Hey, maybe if you did a little bit more like this, it will help me out to be less angry, because it's a lot of stress on mommy, and I know it's not your responsibility, but if you just did a little bit like this, it will make my life a lot easier, and I want to make your life a lot easier too as well. So anyways, that's all for the show. Thank you for your time, and I catch you guys on the next live. All right, and thank you for watching the link between trauma and struggles in relationships. Catch you guys next week on Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Peace.